back to Paper Traders. I'm Eric, your co-host here, and my other co-host here is Danny, who you can't see, who's not on the controller at the moment. But
whoa. I'm here though.
You are here. Just want to welcome you guys. We're two average Joes trying to beat the market, working here at Zacks. We've gone and put together a small portfolio that we're building up over time here. I'd like to remind everybody to like, subscribe, and comment in your local player where you're watching us, which is a ton of different ones, but we're on the big ones: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, the big ones.
Yeah, make sure you're getting involved, right? YouTube, you can obviously, like you said, you're watching us live, drop a comment, say what's up, tell us what you're buying or even interested in buying. I'd be happy to take a look at it. Maybe I'd be interested. I don't know. So
our portfolios are still pretty empty. We don't have much in them yet.
No, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a growing process. I don't feel like people go out and just buy a handful of stocks. They're just like, I'm in it. I'm in the stock market now.
You don't just go in for 13 and just call it a day. But,
yeah, so we're slowly building. We're getting there, and
we're being smart about it.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I know that the market is having some volatile times right now, and you got to have a little bit of a strong stomach. So I think the way we are kind of slowly going into this is the right way and the best approach, especially with the prices fluctuating so much. So
I would like to remind everybody that we are streaming live too, and we are taking live comments. I can see our little chat here. So, somebody said loading up on CHGG. So I guess we're going to take a look at that here and see what Moises Patoya is talking about.
All right, sounds good.
Good call, Moises. We'll take a look at that and see if maybe one of us will add that one to ours as well today.
Yeah, maybe it's a high flyer, because right now it looks like the market in general is on a down day. It seems like every other day it's up, it's down. It doesn't know where it wants to go, and it has a little bit to do with the China-U.S. trade war. So it's
like, oh my God, if we could just get through this China thing. Obviously, I'm Team America. I mean, there's no doubt there. If you look at our lower third, there's obviously no
very positive theme going
where we sit in terms of where we want this trade war to work out to. But I feel like it's just been going on for so long. It is affecting every last corner of the market.
So long, and I don't see any end in sight. And that's kind of where Trump took it over. I think it was on Friday. He came out and was basically like, I don't see any time in the future that I'm going to be, closing any deals with them. He said that China wants to move forward, but I'm not, kind of deal. And it kind of put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And at this point, I mean, in my opinion, it looks like China is just going to wait us out, because if he's going to play the waiting game, China's got more time than us, with the elections. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. We're literally just waiting this out.
So with China, lingering with our elections, we'll see what happens. But I think this is going to be something that's going to continue and continue and continue until, we get the next president, and maybe he wants to make a deal. I don't know. So
it's never ending. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of seeing it just basically affect every last corner of the market.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what it's doing. But one thing I just wanted to note, next episode on Wednesday, we have John Blank going to be joining us. He's our macroeconomist. He knows pretty much what's going on. Economist, I'm sorry.
Tripping over your tongue there a little bit this morning.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. As we spoke kind of as a side note before we got on here, I'm having terrible time sleeping, so my brain is a little laggy. But we're working through it, and we're getting through this Monday morning. But with
happy Monday, everybody out there.
Yeah. Happy Monday. Drink your coffee. Get caffeinated. I know I am. But yeah, going off of John Blank joining us here, he just had a note here that I just want to kind of touch on. He put out an article that I thought was kind of a decent thing to read, just because he noted that it's going to be a little bit of a slower week, as you guys can see here. I brought up the article. He said, I would relax. This is likely going to be a low stock volume week. Don't read too much into the stock trading action. So he's basically kind of alluding to there might be a lot more day trading and people taking advantage of these volatile actions. And because it's a low stock volume. It's due to a lot of people taking vacations and kind
It's
of
the end of
it's their
summer.
last hurrah. Right. It's
It's the
the
end
end
of
of summer.
summer.
People want to go have some fun, and we can't blame them. So
You got to get the kids out before they get back into school.
Right.
You know, I don't have that issue. I got to just get my dog out. But yeah, you know, this is the last couple weeks before everybody gets back into it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that everybody's on vacation, so to speak.
Yeah, so it's just a good note to take. You know, don't go too crazy if you see a stock you own going down, up. You know, it's just going to be one of those things because of the low stock volume. So, yeah, look forward to Wednesday and kind of to see what John has to say about what's going on in the market. He might have some tidbits on where you should be maybe looking to invest, or possibly some safe havens away from the volatility if you're looking for something like that. So yeah, tune in on Wednesday, and we'll definitely have some good stuff for you to hear. So
Good morning to our local friend who's here quite often here at you know, Paper Traders. I Fua Boss, the stand-up. I can't pronounce your whole name. Maybe if you wrote it to me phonetically, I'd get it right. But
right.
Good morning there.
Yeah, good
Welcome
morning.
back.
Thank you for joining us. But you know, other than the crazy trade war news and the volatile market, there was some up and down news in the Lyft and Uber markets. You know, those ride sharing. I know a lot of people. Well, Uber didn't do so well. They kind of crashed and burned a little bit, and at one point they were down like 12% in aftermarket. Did not look good. Just some kind of
5.1 billion was it? They said they lost 5.12. While I'm talking here, I'm gonna fill the time so you can find out. But I'm pretty sure it was like 5.12 billion dollars that they somehow lost.
Let's see.
Like, I could not imagine how awesome that has to feel as a CEO going, oh, I just lost 5.1 billion, but
It looks like their net loss
be
was
all right.
$5.24 billion.
See, like, oops,
Now-
sorry, I missed one, 0.1% there.
Well, you know, okay, so it is a lot of money.
It's so much money.
And they're not net positive, and I don't know that they're going to be able to anytime like soon. It doesn't look positive, but from
They've
what
kind of become the bad guy.
a little bit.
You know what I mean? Like when it comes to ride sharing apps, like they've kind of become the bad guy and all the stuff that's happened between they're not securing their passengers and not really vetting their drivers. I mean, it kind of feels like they were at, this is going to sound so weird, but in a way, it's kind of like the Batman thing. Remember that line where he's like, you know, you've been around long enough to become the bad guy?
Yeah.
At first, everybody loved Uber. You couldn't get away without even, you know, it was almost synonymous for getting a Lyft. You know,
it was
oh,
the
you're
only
get
one
an
you
Uber?
knew. Yeah, it became that household name.
Right,
It was like, oh, we're
Kleenex.
Ubering, right?
Yeah, it
You
was
never
like-
say I'm lifting.
Right,
It
it was
just sounds weird. You
getting
sound
an
like you're
Uber.
doing a workout.
Yeah, it became like like the Kleenex thing. It was just so synonymous with getting a Lyft, and all of a
Googling
sudden,
and yeah.
like now they're spending ridiculous money on. Or didn't they get? I want to say they tried to get into the, what is it called, the scooter stuff. You know, they spent a ton of money on the AI driving cars. That didn't work out so good.
Yeah, I think their whole idea was to like have AI self-driving cars as their kind of fleet. They want to get rid of the drivers themselves, which I mean, I feel like that's so far in the future. Who knows? They might resurge, and you know, in 10, 15 years when that type of technology is around, they could skyrocket. But I mean, right now with the saturation of the market, and there's so many different ride sharing companies and apps out there that I feel like people are choosing other ways to get around, and
Oh, yeah,
sometimes
well,
that's even taxi. I've heard the conversation that taxis in the city, at least here in Chicago, are easier to get because you walk outside, you put your hand up, and you know 9 times out of 10 there's usually a taxi right there.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure that even before, down with Uber, down taking a lot of the people that I didn't even think of taking a cab anymore. Me personally, I
No.
kind of never found it, just like most people in the rest of the world, I'm sure, don't find it to be a very positive experience. Like,
No,
I
but
would much rather get into an Uber, so I'm sure now you could easily just put your hand up and get a cab almost instantaneously. I mean, there's a cab stand outside our office that I would say is pretty much always full.
yeah, well, so I had a recent experience with Uber where the guy, and this is, you know, to say that I don't dislike Uber or anything, but my experience last wasn't the best. He came to get me, and I had it on my map, and whether my GPS was a little askewed because you're in the city and how pinpoint located it is, I don't know, but he ended up being like around the corner from me, and I wasn't kind of aware where he was, so he gave me this whole calling, and then he canceled the ride on me because I wasn't there. I ended up getting a taxi. So it was one of
Huh.
these things where I guess the convenience level sometimes gets trumped by those taxis because there's so many of them. And again, this has nothing a personal attack. It's just something that happened to me, and I thought it was curious because I have, like you said, I haven't taken a taxi in forever, maybe since last time I was like in New York City or something. But yeah, just in general, I kind of stay away from.
Well, now you get yourself those little scooters that are everywhere. They got those little scoots all over the place now.
Yeah, they don't even have docking stations. They just sit in the middle of the sidewalk.
Anywhere, yeah, in the middle of the sidewalk. People don't even like try to put them off on the side, so maybe it'd be like polite. Like I remember reading like a year ago that San Francisco had this problem. Like the city, people went nuts and just started throwing them out and damaging them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't necessarily think that could happen here, but I am sure that if you took a sonar thing through the middle of the Chicago River in a week or two, you're gonna find a bunch of those things at the bottom of it.
I don't doubt it.
They're so inconvenient. Like I don't know if it's the people or the fact that like the scooter company didn't try to like educate people about how to be polite about it. But
Yeah,
it
well,
seems like they're just all over the place.
I think a lot of people are just mad because they're riding them and they only go like 2 miles an hour. So by the time they get to their destination, they're late. So they're just like getting off of it and they're just like, oh, let's just leave it right here. That's my guess because I've seen them riding and they look like they're.
And to those people, I would say leave earlier. That's like
That
people
was
that
just my
complain
guess,
about
yeah.
traffic and they're sitting in traffic screaming. It's like, if you spend most of your life going to this place for work and you're in traffic, you should kind of know what's going to happen.
Get on top of your timing, people, right?
Snow, rain, shine. You should kind of have some sort of clue what's going to happen. And if you don't know, leave early.
All right. Well, before we go down this rabbit hole, let's just kind of finish up some of the numbers for Uber.
Yeah.
Because we hit on their losses. We said it was 5.24. But a lot of that was from their stock repurchasing, or I'm sorry, their compensation to their employees. What did it account for? $3.9 billion was accounted for just that. Uber let stock investors know that this was going to be a big cost. It's a very typical thing for companies that go IPO to have such a big cost to compensate their employees with stock offerings. So it was something kind of we expected.
So is that what it was? It was they were giving stock out?
Well, yeah, they're giving stock offerings to their employees. So when it went IPO, they had a huge
Fair enough.
bill.
I was wondering actually if it had anything to do with lawsuits.
No.
Because there's been a lot of talk about Uber drivers not getting paid enough, So
right.
I was wondering if they actually decided, before we get sued, let's pay out some money. But no, it's good that they did the right thing and gave some stock options to people.
Right. So they had that, and then they also kind of to counterbalance that got rid of. I think it was like 400 employees in their marketing department. So that was a big thing that they kind of did to balance act their cash flow and what they're doing with it. So yeah, I mean, Uber's making moves, but I just feel like they've been so big and they've been the number one for so long. At some point, when all these other companies are starting to take a share of the market, you're going to start seeing a little bit of declines. You're going to see revenues drop a little bit. So, yeah, it's just
they've
typical.
diversified a little bit too. I mean, they used to just do people, and now they do
Uber
food.
Eats.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that they have contracts. I want to say with nursing homes and stuff like that to get people to hospitals. So I mean, it's kind of cool that they've kind of found a different way to play that. I don't know, like available share car market.
Well, I feel like there's so many different reasons why somebody would need a ride. We have here in Chicago, I've seen pace drivers, and those are for, I think, people who don't have access to cars or want
disabled and can't get on a train.
Yeah,
or a bus,
or you want to do ride sharing where they provide the vehicle and you guys can kind of like go to work and come back type of thing. So I think there's a lot of different avenues that these ride sharing companies can go down. It's just going to be a while before they can kind of crank out the infrastructure and, do that type of thing. So,
like I said, I know for a fact that they're working with certain, what are they called, retirement homes and stuff, and nursing homes. So I mean, I think it's cool that they're branching out that way.
And those will always be around. I mean, I'll probably be in one at some point. My kids will be like, "I'm done with Dad. Get rid of him."
Hopefully by then we have those like weird little floating chairs out of Wall-E, like where you're just not like worried about it. Just gonna like
we can have
Jetsons off that little sound.
Yeah, we're gonna have all the cool technology when we're old. So I'm not really too disappointed getting older. So we'll be fine. But
we'll have to go down on this technology rabbit hole at another time.
It's
crazy even how fast technology has progressed even in my time.
Holy moly, yeah. It's hard to keep up with. But just as a side note, we also had Lyft they reported as well. A little bit smaller of a company. They had $867 million in revenue, and they had a losses per share of 68 cents versus the $1.74. So doing pretty darn well. Their stock was actually up 10%. And yeah, they're showing that they're taking that market share that I was mentioning. That saturation's coming into play. They kind of are, just showing that they can, stick
Compete in
around
that
too.
market, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just Uber. It's
It's definitely the two of them neck and neck. And I know some people who prefer to take a Lyft over an Uber. I don't personally myself have any sort of issue one way or the other. It's just a ride to me. But
yeah, I don't I personally don't have Lyft on my phone. It was kind of one of those things. Like I said, I don't take Ubers a lot, so when I do, it's just what I have on my phone. So
right,
it's
just
kind of
whatever
the
app just happens
convenience
to be
level.
there.
Yeah, I don't really have a brand loyalty to say to one or the other. I think a lot of people do, though. Kind of
Yeah,
like you
no,
said, there's a
definitely.
lot of those kind of controversies and lawsuits and a lot of things going on with the drivers. So I think people at some point probably picked one side or the other. But yeah, it's definitely showing Lyft is making their way up, and it looks good. So
Yeah, good for them. I mean, it's very obvious if you're a Lyft driver out there. I mean, there definitely are people that do both, and you see a lot of people that do both. But I feel like they're definitely just as prominent in the market as Uber is. So that's a really good move on their part.
all right.
To move ahead a little bit, per always, I mean, cannabis is constantly in the news, so I kind of felt like we should talk a little cannabis today here, just because of the fact that Aurora Cannabis has, kind of given like a pre-earnings report.
Oh, really? Are they? They kind of
Yeah,
released some numbers already?
yeah, a little bit. Not really. They kind of like said that they're gonna be up. They didn't hint too much. In
Well,
the
I like.
article that I read here, if you pull it up here on Yahoo Finance, I mean, most of the cannabis stocks in this article they're just getting hammered. But this one said that their shares popped 10% after they gave a sneak peek at its fourth quarter results on August 6th. Overall, up 5% this month compared to a 2.1% gain. So, I mean, this article specifically talks a lot about just how the market is kind of shaping in a way. And we do have a analyst here who does follow the market very closely, David Bourne. We'll have him on at some point. But yeah, you can kind of see how this is such a, I'm going to use a great pun here, but a budding industry.
I'm laughing at that.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't even need the laugh track.
Right. So you can kind of see how it's all getting kind of like moved around and how things are working in it. And you get these large players that have bought in, like Philip Morris, which was, something that pretty much anybody could have expected considering cigarettes are dying. They need to find some other plant to sell, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has their quote unquote vice, I guess you could say. I know for a fact they even have an ETF called Vice, which literally all they buy
It's just
are
vices.
stocks. Yeah, they buy stocks like alcohol, tobacco,
I'm sure it does
marijuana
very
stocks.
well.
I don't off the top of my head, I don't know.
You're gonna have to pull it up. We'll save that for the battleground. We gotta take a look at that.
Yeah, because I always thought that was an interesting play because I feel like just people in general love to have their own.
Make a note there. You got to get Vice on there. We're gonna have to take a look at that in the battleground because
Oh no,
it's
100%.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I am sure that thing does very well. I mean, you're talking stuff that people just will pay out the nose for.
Yeah, and well, it could be very kind of slow growth kind of thing, just because a lot of them could be a lot of blue chip companies that have been around for a long time.
True.
So it could just be kind of slow and steady growth. Might be a lot of dividend paying stuff. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to dive more into that. I just wanted to kind of mention it because it was one of those things where it just kind of
maybe
top
we
of
save
mind,
that one
so.
for another day. Maybe actually, maybe we should definitely save that one for another day.
All right. Well,
I feel like a Vice day would be kind of a funny way to break up the like slow week one time.
Yeah. Well, if people are listening right now and they're going, what is Vice? It's an ETF. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. We're definitely going to break it down at another time. I just thought I'd mention it because it was an interesting kind of play, and we were talking the weed stock, so why not? But I think just the marijuana industry in general is going to be a fun one to kind of watch over the next, 10 years because...
Oh, I think even the next 5 years. So actually, this is kind of the reason I want to talk about this article because when I had read it, you go to the bottom of the article and it talks about how pardon me, choking on my
We're
tongue.
both doing that today.
I think it's just allergy season and both of us are having issues, but Canada and their current market and how they went full legal across the country. They're showing that the growers there are competing so quickly to saturate the market and become like the big, the Philip Morris of weed.
Yeah, the marble
Right,
of
or the Marlboro.
yeah.
Right, exactly. Like they're competing so fast and so hard to be the big guy on the block that they are basically all showing losses because they've oversaturated the market. So they literally have more weed than they can literally sell at this point.
And
So
I
they're all losing.
yeah, and I'm kind of waiting for this company might exist already or just not might be public. But I'd be curious to see who is going to create the end-to-end infrastructure where they are the growers, they are packing and
And distribution and
producing
everything
and
else.
distributing, and they're creating stores. And I want to see the first company to do that. They, in my opinion, will be the forefront leaders. They'll be the ones to blow up if they can kind of corner the market in that sense, because they can cut their costs. They won't have to worry about dealing with all these different third parties. Because I yet
Who
have
was
to
it? Was
see
it
that.
Canopy or was it Aurora? I can't remember. One of them got like a huge injection from Philip Morris. I want to say it was Aurora that did, but I think they got like $1 billion. So I mean, I feel like once you start getting these companies that have already got the
That type of money.
well, not even the money, but like the footprint of how to market, sell, and distribute these products. I mean,
Yeah, because
you're easily going to see something come out on top. I mean, because Philip Morris, they'd be like, oh, well, we already have trucks that are full
Right.
of cigarettes. Let's just load this up with it and ship it on across the country or the world or whatever.
That's
you
very
know,
true.
they've already got the infrastructure. So I feel like bigger companies like that take on like the littler guy like that and go, hey, let me show you how to sell it.
Yeah.
Those are the guys I think are going to really stand out.
Well, I mean, just as and I don't even know if these guys are traded publicly. I don't think they are, but Dan Blazarian, he owns that Ignite company,
Yep.
and I always, always, always see it on social media. It is in my face, whether he's trying to do that CBD stuff or I don't even know if he does actually marijuana products. He might just do CBD right now, but just that type of branding, in my opinion. I
You
mean,
might be
he has
calling
a.
them out. I don't even know if it's legal for them to actually advertise like that.
What do you mean?
Are you saying that he's basically like
Oh no, he's
hawking it?
no, he's out there advertising. He just made it into like the London market. I mean, he's a very legit business owner.
Interesting.
Yeah. You should definitely look into his company. In my opinion, I think it's really making that forefront of the social media. You know how companies do very well with kind of brand ambassadors and kind
Yeah,
of getting
of course.
those type of influencers.
Well, I know like Wu-Tang has their own brand of CBD product.
See, there you
they're
go.
selling, right.
So
I know Snoop Dogg's got his own. I'm sure Bob Marley's family has got something there, trying to sell as well. I mean,
yeah, so I mean, I think there will be a lot of those types of companies, but like you said, I think those big blue chip ones that have the infrastructure and everything kind of set up might come in and kind of slip their way in. I don't know.
well, we're just going to see how that one plays out because I feel like that's a really interesting market that's shaping really quickly. Really quick though, we do have a question here. I don't have your username, so I'm not gonna be able to call you out. But we have a question here on thoughts on Buffett, obviously Warren, and Kraft Heinz. And he says, "Great show and thank you."
All right. Well, Kraft Heinz, I don't know personally anything about, and I know that we have a huge Warren Buffett fan, Tracy.
Yeah, for sure.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring that to Tracy, see if we can get some inside good stuff from her, and then kind of backpedal here, and then come back on Wednesday and really give you kind of an inside look, and maybe John Blank can even kind
maybe
of
he
dive
can
in as
weigh
well. That way we can get a chance to look at it and kind of dive into what's going on in crafts. But yeah, that's an awesome question. Thank you for kind of sending that in.
Yeah, I'm gonna just call you Period because that's all I see for your username. So Period. You're welcome, and we'll get back to you on that. Make sure you watch on Wednesday, and we'll definitely address that for you. All right. So Danny, I'm looking at the clock here, and
It's that time.
I think it's that time. All right. So, last week we kind of got cut off early because of, technical difficulties, which it seems like we have finally figured out, thank God.
The mics are still working. We're still live. So please, if we aren't being able to be heard,
Tell
let
us right
know.
now in the chat.
Yes.
Tell us in the chat if there's a problem right
For all we
now.
know, it's still working. I'm thanking everybody that it's working right
Yeah,
now because it's getting very frustrating.
we haven't seen anything yet, but
All right. Well, so the battleground, welcome to it. This is where me and Eric bring our pick of the day and kind of either decide if we're going to add it to our portfolio, not add it to the portfolio, and also kind of look at where we stand currently with our holdings that we've purchased in our paper traders. And yeah, just
and to
kind of
remind
break it
people, we
down.
have not purchased these physically. If we do purchase them physically or we do hold them, we will let you know. But currently at this time, we have not purchased anything that is in our portfolios.
Yep. So just be
So
aware of that. This is all paper trading, and
the whole idea is we teach you guys how to look at stocks the same way we do to go and figure out what you actually want to own if you're going to run your own portfolio. So it's all on paper, it's the quote unquote paper because it's not real money. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're looking at this stuff. And, if you get a gut feeling about something that we have on here that you think is a problem, don't buy it. I will be the first person to tell you. We are two average Joes that are doing the show, learning along with you pretty much, as well as taking advantage of the tools that we have available to us, including the professionals. So, take what we say with a grain of salt. We do know a bit of what we're talking about, but we are by far not professionals.
Yeah, I think we have a unique position here to be able to pick the brains of these guys in the office here who are constantly beating down the news in the market. What's going on? What is Warren Buffett buying? They're really just kind of on the forefront of it all, and they all have their different sectors they kind of focus on. So we can kind of pick everybody's brain, see what they're thinking, then we can kind of take it into our own account and obviously make our own opinions on what's going on.
So I'm gonna go first because
what do you bring into the table?
nothing. All of that. Yeah, it is new. So if you show my computer real quick, we'll just quickly show that this is our watch list that we currently have in here. So we've got a bunch of companies that aren't looking too hot right now.
Can you add Vice for us right now? While you're on there?
We should add Vice.
Yeah,
so,
just go to add ticker there and just.
We'll add Vice real quick. Yep, there it is.
There it is. Awesome.
Add the ticker. We're not gonna add shares.
No, don't add the share.
Adding.
Because once you add the share price, it'll start giving you a lot of day gains and stuff.
There it is, right there at the bottom. So we'll remember to check that out further and talk about it on a day where marijuana maybe is doing something, but currently marijuana's not doing much. But so my stock that I want to really look at is GoGo.
Okay.
And it's a wireless company. Wireless, for the most part, reported pretty good earnings not too long ago. GoGo doesn't actually report. I think I saw it was like until November 5th.
So they must have either reported already and they're going to come up in the next earnings quarter.
Right. Now, since I looked at this on Wednesday for our show, it's gone down quite a bit, actually, for whatever reason. The stock's changed, obviously, because it's a stock market, but it's still a Zacks number 1, style score of D, growth C, momentum, and a TVGM. So I'm sure Kevin Matris, if you were watching this right now, would be yelling at me, especially with the negative, EPS score here. But
negative EPS. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a possible thing. Okay.
Or ESP, sorry.
Okay.
I misspoke. My fault. Negative ESP. The wireless industry is definitely changing a ton, and this is the reason I pulled it up, is because I feel like, especially with the new unveiling of 5G, you're seeing a lot of foot dragging from the older companies like AT&T and other companies that want Verizon that want to update or need to update 5G, and they're kind of like, Verizon's doing it, but I feel like AT&T is really dragging their feet about it.
Yeah, they just started rolling out the infrastructure, didn't they? I mean, here in Chicago, we just got it,
I think
like
Verizon
a
about a month ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's all relatively new. I remember when 4G was coming out, and I don't even think I ever used 4G for like a full year when it was actually available on my phone, because
You're still on 3G?
No, I'm on, what is it, 4G now?
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying you were on 3G, so you weren't even bothering with the 4G for a while, right?
Yeah, so...
Because the speed was fast enough. I feel like
no, I just think the cell tower service, I wasn't getting that quote-unquote 4G just because of where I was. It was available in the area, but it was still kind of rolling out. Yeah. It was new. So I think even with it, the 5G coming out, I think it's going to be a year or two before people are across the board using it. You know what I mean? I think we're going to still be on that 4G. It'll take a while. So
yeah, I don't see 5G rolling out very quick.
Right, but with that in kind of respect, this company has some growth aspects to it, right?
Right. I mean, that's the reason I'm looking at it. Like I said, the numbers have changed quite a little bit since I was looking at it. You look at my screen, you can see it used to be up somewhere around like $23 probably, and all the earnings say it's going to pop here. It's only missed in early 2018 and late 2017, and then way back in early 2016. So I mean, you look at the potential EPS surprise consensus is like 2021 looks like it's gonna be a pretty huge year. They're
Yep.
expecting this to almost triple, quadruple. And 2020 it's been low, but they're popping up. So I kind of feel like we're in line here to potentially take a pretty big jump. Like I said, earnings is or the next report date is actually I was right. It's 11/5. So I'm gonna actually add this to the list to watch.
Yeah, because you have a couple months for some price plays to go in here. Typically, if the earnings are going up, and it is a strong buy, so I would imagine the earnings are moving forward. So maybe in the next couple months, this stock might kind of slowly inch its way up into earnings.
I want to do a little bit more research on it, and I want to see what caused it to drop this little bit since Wednesday.
All right, so you're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive and kind of revisit this back on like maybe Wednesday or Monday to see what's going on.
Right. I want to see why I took that little dip here since we just last talked about it. But yeah, that's the one I've got, Danny. So what are you gonna do?
What do I got? What do I got?
What have you got?
I got an old stock. It's one that you already own. It's boring. It's Disney. It's not boring.
You're
I'm
poaching
kidding.
my stock?
I'm poaching it because it went down on earnings, and I think those earnings were they were fine. They might have some downgrades on their earnings, but dude, the streaming, the Marvel movies, just across the board, I see nothing but growth for this company. I don't see them being hurt by these trade wars. They're kind of an in-house, or I would say it, kind of operates here in America for the most part, and they're a consumer-based company. They're not selling you any, I guess, like physical clothing. I mean, I know they have that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, they
I
merchandise
can't see
like
that hitting their
mofo.
bottom line like crazy. In my
Oh, are you
opinion.
kidding
So
me?
that's
There's
just-
like a Disney store here on Michigan Avenue that I used to work close to, and that store was always busy.
no matter what the price, right?
Always. I mean,
so if it was $50 for this, they'd still buy it if it was $70.
the store
right?
was always busy. Now I can't guarantee anybody was buying things, but you had foot traffic constantly in and out of that store. So I would disagree with you. I would say that their merchandising has got to be huge, and even probably bigger if you consider their Star Wars, Marvel, and everything else that they get to sell along with that.
Yeah. I guess I would have to think more than that, but I just think that an overall idea that their kind of top line and core business that they focus on, they're not going to be hurt too much from these quote unquote trade wars that we're going through. So I thought, what a great time to buy. I think it was down like 7%. It dropped down to about 133, and we pulled the trigger. As you can see here, it's still a 3 hold, and that's just because of those earnings kind of trading and the most recent earnings report.
I mean, we know they're making money. I literally just in the elevator today saw that The Lion King just overtook Frozen for Disney's like largest grossing animated movie.
The money just keeps pouring in.
We know they're winning.
Yeah. So that is the reason why I buy it. It literally is because I believe so much in this company and the potential that they're going to just continue to blow up. They're continuing to grow their assets and their media catalog. So I'm excited about it. It was kind of a no-brainer for me. I can kind of bring up our portfolio here and show you.
Yeah, I've got mine up too, so we can compare at the end of your spiel here.
Yeah, here. Do you want to bring up yours? Because my computer's running a little bit slow.
Yeah, no, you can pull mine up. Mine's up. So I mean, you can see, guys, since I bought it, I'm not doing great, but I'm not really concerned about it. I'm only down 4%.
When did you buy it? Can you click on the add delete? You can see when you actually purchased the price on the very far right. Just click that little So you got it at 140.71. So it's not terrible.
No.
You just bought it right before earnings, so it had that little dip.
I'm not really worried about it. I'm not down a ton. The market isn't doing much. I mean, you can see that the gold stock I have, King Gross, is doing okay. I mean, again, that was a long-term display just because I felt like I needed some sort of good hold like that along with Disney.
Right.
And then Takeda Pharmaceutical, like, again, I'm not really too concerned. It's not like it's really down right now, and that's just another huge one that I feel like is going to be something worth holding on to.
Right. So here's mine. Wrong button. Whoopsies. Here's mine. We bought Disney at, I think it was like 134.55, and that was on the down day from the earnings. It was just one of those things. Again, I saw an opportunity and I jumped at it. We were going to do that on Wednesday last week. Unfortunately, we got a little cut off by our technical difficulties. Yeah, wah. And then we have AT&T. It's been pretty steady. Again, I'm not looking for any move out of this company. I bought it strictly because I want some safety net, and it pays a very hefty dividend of about 7%. Square, now, we got hit on. I'm not too upset about this. We did buy it up at 78.7. So we took a bit of a hit, but you know what? It was right at earnings. I feel like this company in the next 3 to 5 years is really going to kind of show us their teeth and kind of hunker down on that cash app that they have, really grow in their international businesses and show what they're really made of.
It was a good choice.
Yeah, it's one, again, kind of like Eric said with Disney. I'm not worried about it. I bought it, and it's more of a couple year type idea. I wouldn't buy this as a 1 year outlook. It definitely is a company that is growing and will continue.
Yeah, it's not a momentum move. It's not going to jump up a few bucks overnight, so to speak.
Right. So.
Okay, guys. So I think that pretty much does it for us here today. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you guys like. We had a bunch of good comments here today, like we had said.
Yeah, thanks for joining in, guys.
We will definitely, get back to you on the Buffett and Kraft Heinz question, because that's always something that people always want to know, what's Buffett up to. And so make sure.
I always want to know what Buffett's up to. He gives some good ideas. I mean, the guy did buy Apple in 2016 when, we've talked about this in the office. I wish I bought it back then. I wasn't really a trader, investor, or anything, so it was one of those things. So yeah, watching Buffett, this is definitely a good thing to do.
Yeah, there's lots of interest there. So make sure also to watch in this block, Monday through Thursday, we have alternating days, free lunch, and paper traders. Well, tomorrow will be free lunch with Ben Rains.
Yep.
So make sure you come check him out. He will have a stock for you that he feels is going to do something big in the market and along with market news. And then also don't forget, Wednesday we have John Blank coming in. What is it? It's CES. It's the Chief Equity Strategist. He's got so many titles.
Yeah, he does.
Because he also runs Large Cap Trader, and he also is a PhD. So it's just like, it's got dots with dots.
Look, just tune in on Wednesday. He'll tell you all about himself. He'll have
China.
Oh man, we're gonna hear a lot from John. So please tune in. You will not regret it. Trust me. Just trust me.
So on behalf of Danny and I here, I'd like to say thank you for watching Paper Traders, two average Joes trying to beat the market, and make sure that you check out Zacks Ultimate, which is our all-encompassing service here available at Zacks that goes through every single service that we currently have, along with custom screens and everything else that you could possibly need to beat the market.
Peace.